turn on the recording. All right, so I want to say thanks for attending our training session on Leganto. I'm really excited to show you exactly what Leganto is, and if hopefully it'll encourage you and inspire you to actually incorporate it in your Blackboard course, or at least just play around with it. So you might want to consider adopting it in a future course. So today we're going to go over what is Leganto and some basics about it, and then we'll also do a live demonstration of Leganto, so you'll get to see exactly the workflow for it. So on screen is our agenda. I'm going to go over what Leganto is. I'm going to talk about some benefits to you as instructors and to your students for using Leganto. We'll do a live demonstration of it in a Blackboard course. I'll briefly show you what a student's view of Leganto will be, and we'll talk about some of the analytics data that comes out of Leganto that you might find useful for your instruction and for your teaching. So Leganto allows you to create a reading list within Blackboard, and it uses your resources from a whole bunch of different places. It searches the library databases and our library catalog. It allows you to upload your own resources, and there's also functionality built in that allows you to incorporate resources that you found online. So if you found like a really interesting newspaper article or a magazine article, you could include it in your Leganto reading list. So your students will have a really robust reading list to look through. So for instructors, some of the benefits are it's really easy to create, share, and reuse your resources. This basically means you could create your reading list 1 year and reuse it the following year, the next semester. You could modify it. You could share it with your colleagues. So there's lots of opportunities for collaboration and kind of like putting together a resource list that you could use for the future. Like I said, there's a lot of opportunities for collaboration as well. So you could have another instructor be one of your collaborators within Leganto so that the two of you could build a reading list together that you could have in your courses. It also gives you the option to have a discussion board with your students. So that's another avenue to engage your students with the reading materials. It gives you usage information. So with that, it actually shows you what students are actually reading. So if there's like an article that students haven't found particularly engaging, you'll see that in the analytics. You'll know like, oh, I should replace that with something that's much more interesting and much more relevant to what they're learning. And like I said, the library provides support for Leganto, so we'll help you put materials on course reserves if it's a physical book that you want to put on reserve. We give you access to all of our library databases, so it lives within Leganto, so it's easy for you to create those reading lists that you know that students will have access to those articles. And for students, it lives within Blackboard, so it's easy for them to find their materials. You could create a structure within Leganto that makes sense for them, that really closely mimics your syllabus so that they know exactly what they need to read. And realistically, if you're using our library resources, it helps support student success because then you're supporting open access, the open educational resources movement, and it reduces the cost for students if you create like your reading list or your textbooks through the materials that they already have access to through our library resources. So I'm gonna go ahead and hop into Blackboard so you can see exactly what Leganto looks like, and then we'll go through the process of creating a reading list and all that stuff. So let me go ahead and turn off my sharing and reshare my other screen. All right, does everyone see Blackboard on their computer? On the screen that I'm sharing? All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and go into one of the courses that I set up just as like a shell course. So this is what your course could look like. I mean, there's nothing in here right now because it's just a shell. But to access Leganto right now, you have to click on Course Tools on the left. And then you'll see Leganto pop up right here on the right-hand side in the second column. And clicking that link will open up the Leganto interface within Blackboard. All right, and then this is a screen that we're working on updating to make it more clear what it does, but this is basically just like a landing page. So it gives you some information about Leganto. It gives you the links to create a reading list and to upload a pre-existing reading list. But let's go ahead and click the link right here that says leave this page and explore the application. Right here, you end up on a page with all the lists that are connected to your courses. So I have some test courses that I've created that have reading lists built in, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and create a new list. So right here on the right, there's a button that says new list. Clicking that, it'll ask for a title. Typically you wanna give it the title of the course that you're teaching. So we're gonna go ahead and create a new one called Engaging with Information. We'll pretend that that's a new course that we're creating here in the library. And click create. And then we get to this screen where it says select a template. We don't have any templates built in right now, so we'll just click blank. And now we're in the main body of Leganto. This is where you're gonna do a lot of your work. This is where you're gonna be creating your reading list by finding resources, by uploading resources, things like that. So there's 4 ways to add materials to Leganto. The main way is by searching within our library databases. So this little button right here that says add items. This little button right here that says add items. Why isn't it clicking? All right, so it's actually making me walk through the entire process of adding sections. So let me go ahead and do that right now. So I'm creating a section that's called module 1, and we're gonna add an item to it. So we click plus to add an item. So this box right here on the right, this searches all of our library resources at once. So if you're familiar with OneSearch, this is exactly what OneSearch does. So we're gonna go ahead and do a search here. Let's say we're gonna search for Google and Knowledge Graph. So the Google Knowledge Graph is a product that Google has created. And we'll see if there's any articles about that that we want to assign as a reading for students. We'll do a search. Let's say we're interested in assigning this first article to our students. So what we're going to do is we're going to just drag this article to the module that we want. So we want them to read this in module 1. And then it'll start preparing, and then it says complete. So that means this is an article that students have access to through our databases. And then if you just click the article information, this is all editable. So if you want to add some additional information, like under a public note right here, if you want to tell students like focus on the introduction and the methodology, you could tell them that. So this is an opportunity for you to give some more context to your reading materials. But the nice thing is right here, it has direct links to our library databases. So students will be able to access these articles from within Blackboard and just go right to our library databases. So clicking that link, oh, it opened up in a new window, so you don't see it. But it links you directly to the article. They can read it from ProQuest, they could download the PDF, they could save it. The nice thing is if the students click on it, you'll see that represented in the analytics data. So you'll know what articles students are clicking on. So that's one way to add materials to your reading list. Another way is to upload your own document. So if you have an article that you have from a preprint or that you've written yourself and you want to upload it and assign it as a reading, you can do that as well. So let's go ahead and add another item. And you would do that by clicking create right here. This allows you to upload a PDF or a PowerPoint slide or a Word doc. So let me find a PDF to upload. I'm just gonna drag this PDF into a little box right here. And it'll do a little bit of processing for you. It'll upload the document and it'll see if there's any metadata for you. So you'll see that it actually auto-populated this field. It gave us the title of the document, and it lists the authors who are actually the editors. So it didn't quite get that right, but it at least knew that these are people's names. And it thinks it's an article, but we want to change that to book. And we want to add that to module 1. Then clicking add. It'll show up right here on the left. Now it says the title of the book, the editors, and then there's a download link. So that's how students will access this article or this book that we've uploaded. So that's the second way to add items to Leganto. Through the course of like planning your course, you might come across like an article that you find really interesting, but you might not be in Leganto. So let's say I am looking at this article called Science Communication, and I want to include it in my reading list. Leganto has functionality called Cite It, where if you find something you like, you click the little bookmark that says Cite It. Oops. And it'll harvest as much information as it can, and it auto-populates it. And then you could add it to your reading list. So I'm going to add it to our Engaging with Information reading list under Module 1, add and close. And if we go back, we see that it's right here. So it's the third article, Science Communication. So it's a nice option if you are browsing the internet, or if you are on Google Scholar or your New York Times and you find something that you want to assign, you can go ahead and click that Cite It button. And the way to do that is once you're logged into Leganto, you click your profile image right here and click Cite It, and you just drag this little button to your bookmarks tab. Okay, so that's Cite It. It works for a whole bunch of different resources. It works for YouTube. It works for, I want to say like 98% of our library databases it'll work for. And it works just for like regular blogs and websites. So Cite It's really cool. Like I said, it even works with YouTube. So this is a YouTube video that I used to assign for my class. And when I click Cite It, it pulls in as much information as possible. And then there's another option within Leganto. If you don't want to add it to a list, you could add it to something called your collection. And what that is basically just a collection of reading materials that you are interested in assigning at some point to your class. So if you want to just add it to your collection, you click Collection, add, close. And we see that it's not listed anywhere in our reading list, correct? It just has our 3 items that we've added. But if we click this collection button right here on the left, we see that we have an entire collection of materials that we could assign to our reading list. So if we wanted to assign this video, we would just go back to our reading list, and then we would add items. And our entire collection exists under My Collection. So if we click that My Collection, and we want to assign this video, similar to what we did when we found results through our search interface, we just drag this over, and it'll prepare, and there's going to be a link for students to see the video. It'll open up in a new tab. It'll open up in a new tab, and they can watch the video, and then you'll get that information once again. So that's kind of nice. Anything that students do within Leganto, you'll receive that. You can receive that as a final report at the end to see like how they're engaging with your materials. Okay, so as you see, this first one, it says item available, so it says complete right here, but all these other ones still say being prepared. So one way that the library supports you in your use of Leganto is we check to make sure that the materials that you're adding to your reading list are available. And you could have us check, you could have the library check by clicking the send list button right here. So send list to library to process means we will process the materials that we need to. So if we just click that, someone at the library, for right now, it'll be me, will receive a notification that we need to work on your reading list. And that means just checking to make sure that the links work, that the materials are available. And if you possibly assign like a physical book, we would know to move that into our reserves collection so that it'll be available for your students. And then once it's been approved by the library, it'll be live for your students. You want to make sure that you actually publish it so that your students can see it. So to publish your Leganto reading list to your students, you click these 3 dots and click publish. And then you have some options here. You could publish to anyone, you could publish to everyone in our campus, or you could publish only to your course students. For right now, I would recommend publishing to all students at the institution. So if you click confirm, your list has been published, and then any student who is part of your course will see this reading list connected to your course, and they'll be able to start reading the materials. So let me show you what this looks like for students. You can see.
Excuse me, how do we connect a list to a course? That's where I experienced the problem last time when I created a list and I wasn't able to connect it to the course.
You weren't able to connect it to the course. So what I'm going to ask everyone is, if you're interested in using Leganto in your course, to let me know through an email what your course is, and then I'll add it on our back end in our library system so that you'll be able to associate it. So in the future, there'll be a way that that process will be automated, but for now, there's going to be a little bit of mediation with me just manually adding your course. So if you're interested in implementing it, let me know what course you're going to be using this in, and I could add your course manually to our library systems. So if you want to see what this looks like for students, you click the view list as a student, and this is what they'll see. They'll see the sections, they'll see the links to the resources. So they'll see check availability, so they'll be able to click on that, and clicking view online, it'll open up the article for them to read. Clicking this book information, it'll give them, once this gets approved by the library, which I haven't done yet because we're doing a live demo, there'll be a PDF link for them to download the PDF, so you can assign like specific chapters for them to read in this book. There's a link to the YouTube video. So this is how they'll see it. They'll see it formatted with the sections that you've created and then the reading materials that you've put in each section. Let me get out of here. All right. So if you, so the issue with associating your course, your reading list with a course, if you notice that it isn't associated, and once you've told me what your course is, you'll click these three dots and click Manage Course Association, and you'll just have to look up your course code. So it'll be like Management 380, it'll be like HDev 240. So whatever your course code is, let me know. I'll add it to our library systems, and you'll be able to associate your reading list with the course. Okay, so that was a really brief whirlwind tour of Leganto, like how to add reading materials, kind of like the brief review of what the interface looks like. So that's pretty much Leganto in a nutshell. Let me share my other screen really quickly. So this screenshot shows you on screen, shows you what analytics data you'll get. So you'll see activity score, you'll see how many students are engaging in your materials, how many of them are active, how many of them are actually reading the materials. So it'll give you a good idea of which materials work best for your students, so you know to kind of be more agile and modify your reading list to make sure that your students are actually engaging with the things that you're assigning. I don't have any live reports right now, so I couldn't show you like what a live report looks like, but this screenshot kind of gives you an idea of what you'll see. So that's Leganto in a nutshell. Our goal is really to make reading list creation much more easy for faculty members, and to give you a bit more data to make sure that you are creating reading lists that are engaging and interesting to your students, and also to encourage you to start thinking about ways to use materials that your students already have access to reduce costs for them in terms of like textbooks and reading materials. So with that, I'm going to open it up if anyone has any questions. I'm going to unmute everyone. So if you have any questions, just you could ask them now, or you could follow up with me with an email. But I plan on sending out this recording and the other recording for Monday as well, so you can review both of them. I'll also be sending out some links to some other training materials that will give you some more like specific details about things that I didn't go over in this really brief training / demonstration. So the floor is open, everyone's unmuted. If you have any questions now, you could ask them. Yeah, Christina.
Yeah, I had a quick question. Is there a certain browser you recommend that works better with the cited button?
They all work pretty well. I think the best experience that I've seen though is Chrome. So Chrome works really well with the Cite It button. But you saw it was in Firefox and it worked fine. The only mistake was I clicked it twice instead of clicking it once. But that's why you saw the weird error. But I haven't run across any weird issues with any of the Cite It buttons and browsers.
Oh, that's great.
I try to use all the browsers out there just to make sure that everything that we have works well.
Oh, okay, thanks. Yeah, that's a nice, clear, concise presentation. Thanks.
Oh, good. I was
like-
hoping I wasn't going too fast.
No,
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 that's
this was
perfect.
perfect.
Uh, on the analytics side, is it all aggregated, or we'll be able to see who of the students accessed particular readings and who didn't?
It'll be aggregated data, so you won't have like student level information as to like who's accessed it. Just for like privacy's sake, it'll be all anonymous and aggregated.
All right. Fine.
So here's my question. I really like this. This is going to be very helpful to me. I'm actually planning right now to teach a new course next semester that I haven't taught before. So I'm trying to select a cost-effective textbook, or maybe even avoid a textbook. So I'm trying to find resources that may be appropriate. And I just sent you an email to that effect, but I thought for the benefit of the group, if you have any thoughts or suggestions on how I'm going to go about initially selecting the textbook. Of course, I could always use a textbook that others have used before, but I'm trying to avoid that. I'm trying to find textbooks and other materials that are, in fact, very accessible to students as well as cost-effective. So any advice you can give me on how I can use this tool or any other tools, that'd be great.
What I've seen a lot of people do is they take like a textbook that has worked really well in the past for the course, and they look at like the table of contents and the index, and they look for like the subjects and the topics that they really want to cover, and they just look in our library databases. So like within Leganto, you can do some keyword searches for the topics that you're interested in and just kind of like build a reading list based off of that.
That's fantastic.
There's also a lot of like open textbook websites out there, like openscience.org. And I think your best bet for creating like an affordable learning solution type thing is to talk with our affordable learning solutions folks. And I think Anil, you've actually talked to, is it Tom or to
Yes.
Jeffra?
Yes,
So
I'm talking,
they would be your best bet, your best resource on that, because they are much more knowledgeable about access to resources for that.
Great. Okay.
I think just looking at like your table of contents for a textbook that's worked in the past and doing some keyword searches within our library databases will be able to get you some stuff. And looking at like OpenStax and all those other OER type textbook places could be a good option.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, I might have to contact you again because this was helpful, but I always tend to have difficulty when I'm actually doing it. So once I get the textbook and begin to use the research materials, I may have to bug you again to make sure that it's connected well to BB and the students can actually use it in a user-friendly manner. So.
Yeah, so I am here to support your usage of Leganto. So if you have any other like questions, you can always contact me. We can set up another Zoom, so we can do like a one-on-one through Zoom, or if you're ever on campus, we could do a one-on-one meeting on campus as well.
Okay.
Cool. Any other questions?
Oh, I was just curious about something. So, so do we only access Leganto through Blackboard? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so we've set it up that you could access it through Blackboard. I think we do have a separate link if you want to access Leganto directly, and I'll have to dig through my emails to see what that link is. But we highly encourage that you do it directly through Blackboard because it's much easier that way to associate it with your course.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't mind, going through Blackboard, but I was just curious, like, is it possible to share the list with somebody who's not enrolled, like a student that's like waiting to get into the class or not?
Oh, interesting.
It doesn't come up that often, but
Yeah, that would be a good use of it. Let me dig a little bit deeper to see if that's a possibility. And I'll get back to you on that. Let me write that down.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's not like a large number of people, but occasionally, I don't know, like if there's just kind of like sharing the syllabus.
Hmm.
And while you're working on that, to follow up on that question, so I'm not teaching the class yet, so it'll be a new class. So again, I'm not familiar with Blackboard itself. I'm learning. So is there a way I can create a class for myself in Blackboard, even though I'm not teaching this semester, and then use the link, Leganto link, to build my my materials list?
Yeah, so I would actually contact
BB?
Online Campus. Yeah,
Okay.
so contact like BB Help and let them know that you want to create a master course, and then
Okay.
they could just create like a blank shell for you, and you could play around with a bunch of different things
Got it.
in Blackboard in there.
Okay. Will do. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Christina, this is actually for Christina. Since you've already been teaching online, I may want to get in touch with you as my reviewer of some of my course design in general, if you don't mind. I'm talking to online team there, with Roger's team, but I think having a peer look at it from a faculty perspective may be helpful as well.
Yeah, I would be happy to do that. I know what you mean. Like the instructional designers, they're excellent and they're wonderful. It's just a little different talking to someone that is, full time or,
Yeah.
a lot of the time teaching, whereas they're mostly helping people who are teaching. Yeah.
Right. And yeah, and to kind of I guess predict some of the problems that you might have already dealt with that they're not going to know. But yeah. Okay.
Yeah, please feel free to email me for sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Cool. Any other questions?
No, thank you
If
so
any
much.
other questions come up, you can just send me an email. Probably later this afternoon, I'll be sending out a link to this recording and a link to those resources that I had mentioned previously. So thanks for everyone for attending our training demonstration. If you have any questions about Leganto, let me know. And as soon as you find out what course you want to use Leganto in, tell me also so I could set it up in our library systems. Okay?
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Okay, thanks, Andrew.